cryptography. We'll just move on to what is the modern cryptography concerns with. So unsa may gi-concern sa atong mga modern cryptography karon? First is confidentiality. Information cannot be understood by anyone. Integrity. Information cannot be altered. Non-repudiation. So meaning the two communicators or the sender and the receiver cannot deny the information or the data being sent. Then authentication. Sender and receiver can confirm each other. So these are the modern concerns with cryptography. And how are we going to solve these concerns? There are three cryptographic techniques that is used in general. These are the process on how to solve those four concerns. Symmetric key cryptography, hash functions, and public key cryptography. We discussed already symmetric key cryptography and public key cryptography. The only thing that we didn't uh, discuss was hash function. I think you have heard already about hash functions. Nakadungog na mo ani niya. As a review, yung say symmetric, wait lang ha, kay na mosulod. When we talk about symmetric, yeah, it refers to the sender and the receiver will have a single key. So in order for you to read this data, uh, you must receive a key from the sender. Para sa tong gigama kita nato, you need to katabi taong doon na bitay pag-create, pag-change sa mga words or pag-change sa letters. So there must be a key. Then the sender must give you the key if you are the receiver in order for you to be able to decrypt. Then there is also what we call as public key. Ang public key niya is it is almost revolutionary concept in the last 300 years in public key. With two related keys, public and private key, are used. Meaning, pwede na siya ma-open public key or pwede siya ma-open o private nga key coming from the sender. So kung symmetric, kinahanglan usa rin makahibaw or duha rin makahibaw ang receiver o ang sender. Ang public key is that everybody knows it as long as they want to access the information and use the key because the key is in public. The last one is hash function. There is no key used in this algorithm. A fixed length has a value and is computed as per the plain text that makes it impossible for the content for the plain text to be recovered. Hash functions are also used by many operating system to encrypt words. So, ang ikatulo nga solution nila is kani gitawag nila hash functions in cryptography. So there is no algorithm or key used in this algorithm. There is an algorithm, but there's no key used in NIA. There's only a fixed length of text. So kanang mga hash function. Di ba kung mo download mo og kanang mga naa sa P2P, usually kanang moingon ng kanang nag-upload sa files nga here is the hash ani niya, hash function. Dili hashtag hashtag. So hash function. So doon na yung mga certain text ana niya, then to verify the validity of that file. Then in the web services security, this web security is also known as cybersecurity. Ang anong mang focus man ta aning cybersecurity, sir? Last time also we discussed about cybersecurity. It is because our information will travel through the internet. Usually, information will travel to the internet through the use of websites. For example, madto ka sa doh.gov.ph, you can see the information coming from the website. Unsay lang ipang buhat nila, uh, tanan nga information not sa tanan, but some of the information, if it is not critical, pwede lang i-post ito. If it is critical, it can be post posted on that website, but there must be some security para ano niya. And that is why we will focus today on web services security. So, it basically means protecting a website or a web application by detecting, preventing, and responding to cyber threats. So, tanang gitawag og cybersecurity, igo rin siya mo protect sa imong website or web applications. Sir, how do we know, sir, that a website is protected? Unsa man ba kay ba na to nga ang website protected or secure ang usa ka website? There is one way. Actually, there are a lot of ways, but the most famous way in identifying if a website is protected or not is by just going to the website. You just go to the website and y- visit the website, go to the URL in the address bar, kani din yung dapita. For example, kani, akong ipang search ang mga Philippine government websites. Now, in the website, in the URL, if you can see an S, it means it is secure. For example, www.gov.ph. So this one is secure because it has an S, Anania. In early days, the HTTP protocol is not they are not the informations are not secure. Okay. And in the advent of HTTP2, so they are requiring websites to create security features para sa ilahang website in the HTTP2. The Google also, kaning Google search engine, ming encourage sila nga ang gatong mga websites nga walay amoy dili secure. When you try to search, inig-search nimo din ha, ang ilang ranking sa search kuanon ka ng mura og magamay points kaysa ka ng inig-search magud niya sa SEO, ah, search engine optimization. Ang buhaton ana niya is tagag points ang kada website during the search. Mao beto na nga mo search kag website dunay ranking na mag-una gawas sa mga sponsored nga mga websites. If it is sponsored website, ibutang din nga sponsored na siya na marka sponsored meaning ning bayad sila sa Google for them nga inig-search aning mga keywords sila'y mauna ning bayad na sila. But in the SEO kanang SEO, uh, inig-search engine optimization niya, inig-search ana niya, dunay mga points. Then ingon ang Google nga, katong mga dili yung mga secure nga mga website, ako na silang tagaan og gamay nga points. So every time you're going to search using Google, unya dili secure ang imong website, there is a possibility nga ang imuhang ranking maubos. Not unless you are unique. Unique ka ba? Unique ba nga way mo laing website nga pareha sa imuha, way laming website nga dunay common key para sa imuha, then dili makalupig ang uban kay ikaw ra man usa. So mao nang mauna gyud ka. But if you are dealing with several if your company services have also other company nga doon na po sila services nimo and your website is not secure, so people will search for example, na maligya ka tayo mo ka ng computer parts. So mo search ka din ng computer parts. Inig-search mo sa computer parts, those website nga secure, dakog points kumpara sa imuhang website nga dili secure kay butagaan mag points sa Google inig-search. So mo nang mugamay imong ranking dili makita. So dili makita siya. Anyway, we will discuss more on SEO when we reach SEO spam unsa nang mga SEO spam. So how to check? This is how to check. Do na siya S. Now, if it is not secure na wala na siya S, tanaw na to sa mga government kani. kani ka YS. Okay? So when we go to doh.gov.ph, I have already here, I think na kuha ni DOH. Dara, doh.gov.ph. When I take and when I check the address bar, kanang sa URL bar sa imong web browser, you can see that there is a lock. Doon na siya ay kandado. Meaning it is protected. Okay, protected na siya. Ngayon, siya nga, connection is secure. Di ba? Certificate is valid. And ingon siya nga, the SSL nga gamit niya is kani by global sign RSA. So makita kaniya. Now, if it is not secure, atong tanaw to itong search, I think the not secure is the civil service. Na din Civil Service Commission. So let's go to the Civil Service Commission. Now you can see that it says here not secure. Yung siya, your connection to this site is not secure. You should not enter any sensitive information on this site. For example, password, credit cards, and so on. So this one is not secure. Now that is one way of checking if a website is not secure or not. Now you can check also by going to the developer tools. In the developer tools, under the HTTP headers, there's a response. Doon na siya response, kani din doon ay response niya. Look for security. Tanawa ng nice security. As you can see in our not secure website, wait lang ha, kaya na sulod. In the header response, wala mo nakabutang nga dira nga security. Ano siya nga content, nga na server, diri sa iyahang request protocol na iyang IP gigamit, unsay status code niya, okay siya, meaning dili 404 not found. So okay ang gigamit niya is get, dili post ang iyang gigamit, get iyang gigamit. So here makita nimo tulo man na sila kabuok sa imong headers. The respond headers and the request headers o katong iyang general information. But the important here is kaning response o kaning headers niya. Mao ra atong importante. But you can see if it is secure, doon na siya security features. Let's move to our DOH. In the DOH, it is secure na ingon siya nga doon na siya is security and the security is .gov.ph, global sign kani ang iyahang naghatag og SSL nga security. And in the header under response, this is you can see also the IP, what IP it uses and the port it uses kani siya. And the method, yung gamit niya is get and its source code, status code is okay, meaning it is online. And you can see here, Dunay security. Okay, we have strict transport security. So katong sa civil service, uyang mo gusto nakabutang nga security sa iyang response nga headers. But here, nakabutang siya nga duna siya security. Now let's take a look another website na kuan kani sigurong DFA. DFA is mao lang gihapon. Tan-aw na to kung parehas ba sila ning gamit sa certificate. Ang iyang migamit is lain. Iyang gigamit is DG Cert SHA-2 Extended Validation Server California CA. Mao ni iyang gigamit sa certificate. If you notice, if you click the certificate, mao ni iyang gigamit nga certificate. Ang gusto niyo ang butang i-click ang details, you can see kinsa niya. Kinsa may nagama sa imuhang security nga digicert.com. So mao ni ang gigamit ani nila. Now, if you move to our header, you can see also content security policy. Naala gyapon permission policy, repair policy, strict transport policy naalang gihapon. Whereas in the civil service, wayam mo siya, luoy kayo siya, yam mo. Nga naman, dili man siya secure. Now, sir, unsaon man ako, sir, nga if I am the um, IT personnel in a company and I was assigned to create a web page, unya gusto na ko ipasecure siya. Sayon ra kayo, di mo problema na. It's just very easy. When you go to the web hosting company, usually they will offer you for a secure, for additional payment, of course. Yung sila nga, doon additional payment kung gusto ka nga secure ang imong website. Mogamit kag SSL. Mostly ron, may gamit as like SSL security. How to do that? Murag naon ko din Adara, how to install an SSL certificate in your web page. Kung ikaw kitahay nagama kitay ka. So there is this is how can you say this is security.net, meaning you are using their product para mo secure sa imong website. But in every hosting websites, doon na sila kaugalingon nila. Mamaligya po na sila og security. So pwede ra. And I do not know why the civil service doesn't avail that information. I mean, this is a government magod siya nga kuan kanang website. So kinahanglan kamo avail ana niya kay for protection purposes. Even the ang buhiko.one mura og secure ang buhiko.one. So pag palit nila sa website nila or ang ilahang host nila, mo host silang website, ning offer and they avail mo ng secure ang ilang website. Why man? Why man you need to secure your website? To protect the visitor and to protect the information residing on your website or web server. Mao na ang purpose ana niya. Okay, let's proceed to our next step. Again, giunsa to pag come up ani niya basig wa ta nakahibaw. This one also is very good if you are very if you like programming. Kung mangay mo programming, especially if your program is intended for web applications or website, kaning developer tools is very important for debugging. Makakita ka nga unsay nagdagan sa imong sites, dunay error niya, unsay elements, unsay mga patan gusto ka kani nga portion unsay nagdagana na niya, or this is purely for debugging. On how to do that, if you are using Google Chrome, because this is browser dependent, you just need to go to tools, more tools, then go to developer tools. Or there is a shortcut, kani may shortcut niya. But I usually don't memorize the shortcut. I just look for developer tools. In Firefox, nalangya po na siya pangitalan ng developer tools. Then once you can see the developer tools, you just click that one, then you can see whatever outputs or kung say gusto nimo ma-change nimo. And even in programs, for example, you can see unsay may layout, makita niya unsa may event listeners, unsay gipanggamit sa mga listeners niya. So daghan styles kita kani akong specific man nga kan siya hindi nga na nimo ma-change siya kung unsa may mo kani layout, so ma-change depende sa unsay magi-select nimo. So this one is very important. And actually, uh, this is not actually important, but it's helper. Nice nga helper na siya if you are if you like coding, mga kag coding. So let's proceed to the next one. Ato ako nang close kay para dili mo hinay akong computer. So this is not secure. Makita ninyo when you click, makita po niyo din kung unsay inyong nga dili siya secure. If it is secure, ini-click nimo aning kuan siya makita nimo when you click this one, it will open this, and if you want to know kinsa may mga provider niya, dara dinhi digi-search siya ang gigamit. And for the DOH, murag ang DOH dili digi-search lahi ilang gigamit. I think it uses SSL, global sign SSL sila gigamit. So kana okay. And unsa pa ba tong maora mo sir pinaka importante na niya. Dara ang iyang key nga gigamit niya algorithm nga gigamit niya sa pag encrypt RSA encryption and key ang key niya encrypt verify wrap. Okay. So we have a lot of information from there. Ako nag-ipang-close na sila kaya wala na gamit. Nani. And this one also. And this one is SSL. This is just to give you an idea that you can install SSL certificate for your website. So it's up to you kung na. But as much if your website has a lot of information displayed, or not sorry, displayed, but within your website, and you can gather also information from the user, especially kanang na mga transaction payment mga na, make sure nga minggamit kag SSL. Kung wala yung mga payment, okay ra siguro kung dili secure. Pero na yung mga sensitive nga information, make sure nga mobile mo sa security sa imong website to make it secure. Ang pinakasikat karon kaning SSL certificate. I think I showed you last time nga dunay website nga dunay email hosting nga site nga they are using SSL when you try to log in to your email. Kani kani akong gamit mail.com niya. Doon na siya SSL. When you click login, you can see there's a login SSL naka-check sa dayan, naka-default. Although in Gmail, of course, they are using siguro. But kanila siyang ilang gipakita lang they are using SSL. Let's proceed to the next one. Then, in the cybersecurity, uh, there are we have websites and web applications are just as prone as security breaches as physical home stores and government locations. Unfortunately, cybercrime happens every day, and a great web security measures are needed to protect websites and web applications for becoming compromised. That is exactly what web security does. So, mo ni buhaton sa mga unsa nang gitawag og web security. And these are the details unsaon na to pag sa web security. There are a lot of factors that got into web security and web protection. Any website or application that is secure is securely backed up by different types of checking points and techniques for keeping it safe. There are a variety of security standards that must be followed at all times, and these standards are implemented by the OWASP. Kaning OWASP. So kanang mga standards sa atong web security karon, it is being followed by the OWASP. Unsa man ang OWASP? Because they are more experienced web developers from top cybersecurity companies. Unya nagama sila og organization. No? Sa manang OWASP kara. Kanang OWASP mao ni an Open Web Application Security Project. So it is a non-profit foundation that works to improve the security software through community-led open source software projects. So if you want to know more ano niya kung mag anyway this is pwede ra kog dili jud ka makahibaw ano nila anyway sila ra may nag-create og protocol or mga standard sa imong web security. But if you want to get their project because this is for security projects. Kumutan ako sa mga projects nila, mga gipanggama nila and if you want to see nga gamit sa imuhang department or imong you can visit their website and go there. Anyway, this is a non-profit, so mostly of their solutions are free. So free, pwede siya magamit. So this is what we call as the unsa ng OWASP. It is Open Web Application Security Project. Now this OWASP is responsible for creating and implementing uh, the standards for web security. Essential steps in protecting web apps from attacks include applying up-to-date encryption, setting proper authentication, continuously patching discovered vulnerabilities, avoiding data theft by having secure software development practices. So kani sila uh, have you noticed nga kanang Windows nga OS sige update kada halos man kada adlaw, kada semana sige update. Unlike sa kanang Linux, dili kay sila mo update. It is because ang kana magong OS nga Windows, daghan kayong user. So kung daghan og user ang mga hacker, maggama sila og mga codes, mga rogue nga mga software to to breach the Windows OS. Mao na nga ang Windows sige update. Sige daghan ko sila update, security update, halos na kada adlaw kana jud mag-firmware na mag-install og Windows. Kinadugayan kayo if your internet is very slow o niya gamay ra ang imong bandwidth, suyupon na sa imong internet sa imong update sa Windows. Ngano man, the first time you install, mag-update na siya sa tanang mga i-patch niya for vulnerabilities. And that is not web or security, that is not cyber security, it is only the PC itself, ang OS itself. Igo ra siya ning download atong mga security. Now, mao na nga ang step niya, you need to up to date your encryption. So if you avail the SSL from the hosting company, if they offer another kanang newer version, then just avail that one. In a way, your company will pay for it man. Kung ikaw ray nag-maintain kidahay, and better be prepared than sorry, di ba? So kinahanglan prepara nimo daan ning imong kuan. Mingon ng boss nga, anyway sir, this is for protection for our website. Kaysa ang atong website ma-hack, dali ra ma-hack atong website di makuha ang atong mga ah, importante kayong mga information nga naa dinhi na host dinhi. So small amount naman po na siya. So if there is an update that one, make sure to avail that one. Then setting proper authentication. Uh, this is by means of authenticating users. If your website allows you to log in, so that a certain individual can see information. So you need to set a proper authentication for every person that will log into your website. Kung imong website do na siya database nga mo login siya ba, login siya. So kinahanglan do na kay proper authentication. Then continuous patching if you discovered vulnerabilities. Kung dunay vulnerabilities niya, i-patch. For example, ang imuhang paggamit sa imuhang HTML or sa imuhang source code nimo nigamit ka og get or may gamit kag post. Unsa may diferensya og post o get? Be anybody? Unsa may diferensya sa post o get? Hmm? Nakaibabaw ta unsay diferensya sa post o get? Na bitawng mogamit ta og sa data bitaw? Post o get? Unsa may kuanan na niya? Kay so doon na sila kuan kanang diferensya. Although the information that you can get sa user is the same, but the method this information is traveling is different. Kung mogamit ka og get, kung mogamit ka get, dili i-post sa imong URL, dili ibutang didto, dili makita. If you are using post, mogamit kag post, makita sa imong URL ang information nga imong gigamit. So mostly ang gigamit sa mga database get. ah. Anyway, you will experience more on that if you have the database nga mga application. Na magamit og database application. Magamit kag form sa imong form nimo gamit nimo post or get. There are two differences ana nila or there is the difference ana nila. The information that you can have or you can gather from the user is the same, but the method the information travels is different. So pangitaan ng masutable para sa inyong information. Pangitan mga hayog mga hayog password o username unya imong gigamit post di makita didto. Kita sa URL nag-travel na yan. So depende na sa kanang the amount of or the kinds of information that you are going to use. So let's proceed to next. And dapat ato sa kuan katong dinhi. Avoiding data theft by having secure software development practices. So it depends on your end or on your kanang kinds of information that you're going to protect. Yan. Because in every information that you're going to protect, there will be practices that you are going to impose or to implement. Lain-lain. Panitan kung ang inyo harang um, company or sa imuhang ginsakupan nimo, it uses only email o imong database. So dili ka magama og practices sa imuhang email. So what are the steps that your people will follow? If database siya, so lain pod. Kung database pa, lain pod imong mga practices nga imong gamiton. One example sa mga practices that is common for database and an email is user password. Unsa man ang user password? As much as possible, your user password must compose of letters, niya, capital letters and small letters, numbers, and special character or symbol para dili ma-hack. So mo ni mga usa sa mga practice nga it can be valid both sa kanang email ra imong gibantayan o database imong gibantayan. So, kana lang. Lisod-lisod man gud gamay sa database kung dunay mga special character but actually pwede ra man siya inigama nimong password kay string ra man na sila. So that is on the uh, web security. Then what are the technologies available nowadays that we can use? We have the black box testing tools, fuzzing tools, white box testing tools, web application firewalls, security or vulnerability scanners, password cracking tools. So these tools will help you to test whether your web application can withstand other vulnerabilities. For example, password cracking tools. So you can test whether your web applications or imuhang websites nimo pwede ba ni siya ma-crack ma-crack ba ni ang imong password nga pag-create kintahay. So you can use that one. Or web application firewalls. So pwede ra magama ka og kanang firewalls para sa web nimo nga uh, you are going to put a protocol that this port will not travel or cannot get in or it is only out but no in. So pwede ka magamaan ng protocol para sa imong firewall. And anyway, if you want, kung gusto ka na niya, just look for the company that has the black box testing tools and they can test. You can test it for you. But this one here, kanin sila din if your file is hosted by a third party, dili gi-host nimo sa imuhang server, nakay server imong kaugalingong computer nimo, then you will not be worries about these things. Aning mga tools, aning panggamit ana niya. The third party hosting site will simply um, give you enough tools or enough security tools para to protect your website. Okay? So pwede rag dili ka ani adto lang ka maagi sa third party. But if you are hosting it yourself, nag-host ka sa imong website sa imong kaugalingon, then you can use these tools to check the vulnerabilities of your website. Then we have what are the likelihood threats kung maya kay websites. Ang first ana niya is SQL injection. So SQL injection, Mao ni pinakakuha niya kay SQL is used for database and SQL injection is pwede nimo ma-change ang imuhang 'di ba kung mga naka-og ka ng database, you are using tables, you are using fields, 'di ba kung mga naka-SQL? Ah, so nagamit kag data pinaagi sa table and fields. So every table nimo dunay mga fields. SQL injection is mo-inject siya sa mga information sa data sa imong fields. That is SQL injection. Password breach, pwede raw makuha nimong password. Cross-site scripting. So ano kaning imong website tinga ka kay inig access nila ito inig click mo balhin og lain. Data breach, that is the data is being nakuha sa laing party. Remote file inclusion. So this is like to put files in your server. Code injection. This is very kuyaw din siya kayo, code injection. Because in your website, iyang i-inject dito ang iyang code. So malaki ang imong website. For example, there is a link there, ini-click ana niya, lahi na because it is being injected by a different code. So ini-click ani, dili moadto sa intended sa imong website but it will go to another site. And preventing these common threats is the key to make sure that your web-based services is practicing the best methods of security. So, how to make your website good by protecting these vulnerabilities kaniniya. So, unsaon man sir? Unsaon man lisod man ka suda kay na sir ay unsa ba kay bawon tong na SQL injection na siya nga na. There are two strategies nga itong gamiton. The first strategy is resource assignment. By assigning all necessary resources to costs that are dedicated to alerting the developer about new web security issues and threats. The developer can receive a constant update alert system that will help them detect and eradicate any threats before security is officially breached. So that is resource assignment. Ang sunod niya is web scanning. Ani na ta dinhi, web scanning. In the web scanning, this is where katong akong gingon niyo ko ganina nga mo apply. This is where the endpoint solution will come in. There are several web scanning solutions already in the existence that are available for purchase or download. So ang imong gamiton anhi ka mo gamit. You will use this. Sa mahimong gamiton kani siya. Asa man to? Endpoint. Doon na ko'y kuan about skills anyway. Ato ang akong ikuan ng skills. This is the one, endpoint. What is an endpoint security? So I will share it with you kani siya kung unsa ning endpoint security. Then unsa example sa mga endpoint security. Wait lang ha, I will change this into para madungog ninyo kung unsa iyang isulti. Tab. Endpoint.
Hello and welcome to Solutions Review Explores, an ongoing series where we're examining the enterprise technology categories we cover at Solutions Review. I'm Jonathan Paula. Today's topic is an introduction to endpoint security, also known as endpoint protection. Every enterprise, regardless of size, has what we call a digital perimeter. This perimeter is comprised of all the devices or endpoints which connect to your IT network and their cybersecurity protections. These can include laptop and desktop computers as well as mobile and IoT devices. As more individuals connect to your network, the larger and more porous your digital perimeter becomes, making potential infiltrations by hackers that much more likely. The reason why is simple. You can think of each connecting endpoint as a new gateway for both users and hackers to gain access to your most important digital assets. And of course, the endpoints themselves can become the target of various cyber attacks, including ransomware, cryptojacking, and fileless malware. Worse yet, not every endpoint connecting to your business IT infrastructure provides a consistent layer of cybersecurity. Some only use their default protections, which could prove woefully inadequate against hackers. This is where endpoint security steps in. Next generation endpoint protection allows IT security teams to monitor and secure all connected devices from a centralized location, ensuring consistent protections across the whole network. With next generation antivirus capabilities, endpoint protection prevents, detects, and removes cyber threats like ransomware that would otherwise penetrate your initial defenses. However, endpoint security does so much more than that. For example, sandboxing IT members can analyze and evaluate unknown programs by safely observing their behaviors. Through EDR, endpoint protection can uncover dwelling threats and alert your security team. Next generation firewalls monitor digital traffic coming into and leaving the network, tracking and blocking malicious or suspicious traffic and domains. And with application control, you can extend your cybersecurity to the data collected and transferred through apps on your devices. Even as cybersecurity transitions from a prevention based model to a detection and remediation based model, endpoint protection is a necessary building block for any enterprise. For more information about endpoint security, cybersecurity news, or our comprehensive buyer's guides, visit solutionsreview.com. Links are in the description below.
Okay, so that is what we call as endpoint security. Now, in an endpoint security solution, kung nakita ninyo itong mga, for example, this one here, nakita mo din nga supus, igamit niya, endpoint protection supus. And doon na pwede ni, for example, this one here, kita mo ni nga logo na siya. This is Norton. I think one of the examples niya din murag sa iyang this one here. This one. This is Norton endpoint symbol. So, kani siya. Norton is siya. So in this video, it illustrates what is the importance of endpoint solution. In the endpoint solution, it will simply protect any devices connected to your network. Although, not really devices, but the data nga naa sa imuhang infrastructure. Let's go to the interface for Supos. Kung makita niyo din ang interface sa Supos, doon na siya ay threads, doon na siya ay endpoint protection, and I think kung ako masayop, doon na siya ay gi-display ba din niya ang gatong iyang unsay uh, services in your website that can be protected by using an endpoint solution. For example, kani. Naman to? Dara. Dara. Subugamay. Wait lang.
Even
Tara. Okay. So if you can see in the Supos control center, this is an endpoint and it's because you can have here a monitoring software that will be used para sa imong infrastructure. You can see there dunay firewall, dunay web, dunay application, and even email. Doon na siya email. So in the katong ganina kay endpoint naman to siya, so you go to the endpoint. So kani siya this is this is a solution that will protect your IT infrastructure, not only in terms of data but other protocols as well. So pwede, and pwede mo makita kung unsay iyang performance. Makita nimo ning hinay ba siya or kanidapitan ning kalit lag saka ang iyang in ya ang out gamay ra ngano man ni. So pwede mo makita nimo din na. There are, wait lang akong i-change ang ako ang presentation. I will change it into the entire screen. So kung mogamit ka og endpoint, you can just pwede kang mo select kag unsa nga klase nga endpoint imong gusto nimo. And I have here top 10 nga endpoint protection. Although daghan kayo sila every kanang the one who evaluates lain-lain sila og kanang pamaagi and depende kung kinsa ilang gipaboran. So this person kanin siya si Miss Sena. So he is do naman siya unsa siya. He is we have here para makibaw ta nga kinsa ning review unsa iyang background. And that is one way of checking your information is okay para kung coincide ba sa imong gusto nimo. nga makuha nga information. So he is an IT professional with special interest in computer forensic and computer security. So we're not building networks and researching the li- uh, the latest development in network security. He can be found writing technical articles and blogs. So mao ni usa sa iyang ipang suwat. So every time mubasa mo mga articles, tanawan ninyo kinsay author, then doon na ba siya capability nga mo sulti sa iyang ipang sulti. Okay, so mao din siya si Miss Lena. So basing from this, making ko nga okay po na siya. If you want to view the profile, so makita po nimo. Anyway, this one is Resources InfoSec Institute, meaning he is not the owner of this one, but he could be one of the contributors. Okay, this is Resources InfoSec Institute man. So he said that the top one, iyang butang niya unsa tong mga magamit sa endpoint. The semantic endpoint protection. This is also the endpoint protection that my previous client is using the NYU. The NYU is using this one. So we are advised to put a semantic endpoint for all our devices, and so that the controller, let's say if there is a vulnerabilities, igo ra i-inject ang katong vulnerabilities, then every time your device is on, it will automatically get the updates from the controller. So mao ni ang gigamit sa NYU. They're using semantic endpoint. Sa may mga ang kuan niya, you can use a lot of OS. Pwede Linux, pwede Windows, pwede Mac. Then sa may pros niya, virus, then easy to deploy and update across the network. Effective file quarantine. Ang consequences ano niya lang or cons niya, ang initial setup niya is time consuming. And the price is a little bit murag mahal-mahal siya kumpara sa ubang endpoint solution. Uh, it is capable products able to block this one kani magong Norton, uh, it is capable mostly of mga big nga mga companies. They are using Norton. Uh, actually ang Norton napalit na sila sa kanang kaning semantic. Sa una is Norton na o niya gipalit sa semantic, mo nang gitawag og semantic, but they are still using Norton. Katong mga nakaila sa Norton sa una, kaning semantic mingon sila nga this is the product of Norton. So kanang mga antivirus sa una, katong mga early antivirus, Norton ang pinakasikat and pinakadako kayo og database for viruses. So this one here, it has also an endpoint. So that is the reason why mostly of the companies they are using Norton, uh, and in protecting their in protecting their data. Now, in hardware, I think you know already when we talk about Cisco. Cisco, kung matag Cisco, may kayo sa Cisco magunay lang gipang gamit. So meaning ang Cisco ana niya that is reflected sa ilahang network, o ilahang router gigamit, ilang switch gigamit. So Cisco ang sa hardware. Nganong Cisco man sir? Kay sila may nakauna. Sila mo gyud nakauna og gamha gud. Mao nang kuan gay sila. Magpamahal gay sila. Mahal gay ng Cisco. Pila ka libo ng ilang router lang. And there is another company nga may trouble-trouble sa Cisco, mga rising siya nga company. And ang ilang services is almost the same as Cisco, kanang Microtech. Microtech also is very very nice because it has a GUI or graphical user interface. Cisco command driven. So every time you're going to set up your router, may nga na command driven. Whereas in Microtech, it is a GUI, graphical user interface. Pero pero sir, ngano man lagi ng kanang nakita ko sa mga advertisement sir ba, ang mga IT sir, kinahanglan kunog naay CCNA. So kanang Cisco na siya nga certificate o niya. CCNA means Cisco Certificate Network Associate. Nganong kinahanglan mag CCNA sir or CCNP, Cisco Certificate Network kanang P is professional. So nganong mang kinahanglan man na sir? It is because their company is using Cisco nga mga devices mo nang kinahanglan kaana. Og although this is a sidestep na na siya, but this is important when we go later to the skills of cybersecurity, sa may mga skills nga nga i-acquire ninyo. Mas importante sa we will talk more about that one. This is proceed ani niya. Kaya ako lang isulta rin yung unsay ka importante ng CCNA and CCNP or network certificates kana. Wait lang. So this is the first semantic endpoint. You can have also CrowdStrike Falcon endpoint protection. Then you have also Supus endpoint protection. Katong nakita na to sa tong nasa yagi pakita niya Supus. And you can check kung asa may mas musibo sa imuhang IT nga infrastructure. Kung ani ba ka sa Falcon endpoint or ani ba ka sa Supus nga endpoint, you can check also their pros and cons. For example, sa Supus, deep learning technology, simple interface. Unya dire, cloud setup requires a decent internet connection. While kanid siya din ingon siya nga detect and blocks malware, easy to deploy across large organization. Proper initial setup needs to be completed to reduce false positive. So kinanglan dili mudagan siya kung dili fully installed para dili makakuha ng false positive. So daghan kayog mga pros, andun na po yung mga cons in every. And Trend Micro, sikat po ng Trend Micro. And aside from Trend Micro, we have Carbon Block Endpoint, we have McAfee. So I think ang Bitfinder po doon na po siya. Kanang Bitfinder doon na po siya. Cisco. So kanang uban, if they are using Cisco, Cisco po ilang gamiton. Anong mo gamit ba sila laing solutions or applications? If their devices uses Cisco, then they will use Cisco. Now the only cons or consequences of Cisco is mahal gud siya. Mahal gud siya. So pricing is a little bit higher compared to similar products. But this one is very good. Ngano man, it is if your devices is using Cisco, so Cisco po yung gamiton. Ngano man, kay sila may nagama sa device, so they know how to protect their device. So Cisco. Although kani sila din kaning uban, kaning mga Norton may nga na ah, dugay na maguna sila. Kaning Cisco, bago pa ni sila. So, mo nang ang ilang rating, gamay lang pod. But kung ako ipabuton, I will go to Cisco because they are kanang the one who created the device. But anyway the katong mga prevention niya, mga patches niya, mga vulnerabilities, it can be patch. Ma-patch man na pag may bagong vulnerabilities. So ma-patch lagi gyapon igura pwede sa introduce. They can easily catch up all those databases for viruses and other kanang malicious attacks. Pwede ra niya ma-catch up nila. Although dili jud mao ilahang kanang main nga product. Unlike McAfee, mao jud ilaha security process kay ilaha. Unlike Trend Micro, unlike Supos, unlike kaning Semantic, mao gyud ilaha nga anhi gud sila sa to protect your data using their solution. Kaning uban ming breakaway na sila. Na sila but ming diversify sila, ming create po sila solution. And Komodo, I think I do not know if you are familiar with Komodo. But sa una, I am using Komodo for my browser. I am using Komodo web browsers. It's a very nice web browser. Although the updates is not really kanang updated kay siya. Ang for example, Komodo nga na may Komodo dragon, Komodo 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 ice, Komodo fire. So kung mga naka Komodo dragon nga ice, kuanto siya, minggamit to siya og Chrome nya Komodo dragon nga tong fire minggamit siya og um, Mozilla Firefox. So ang iyang technology gigamit pa inside. Now, ang problema kung ang version sa Mozilla bag-o 20, ang imuha lower version behind 18. Pero secure siya, secure kayo, nindot kayo siya. Kanya I stopped using Komodo endpoint because uh, tungod aning virtual class that I will use Google Meet. So I am forced to use Google Chrome. Pero og sa balay, I'm using Komodo. Then we have Casper Sky. Kay endpoint. This is also a product nga intended for security solution, mga viruses and Palo Alto networks. I think there are two here nga wala o three nga wala kayo di kay ko dili kay ko wako kay ko ibaw kaning Palo Alto, kaning usa dinhi kaning black carbon black wala kadto ko familiar ana og ganay katulo ani kaning CrowdStrike. Ang wala gyapin nila ni is Bitfinder. Bitfinder also they have. Naana, naana, naana sila ilang kagulong endpoint. So it's up to you to choose. Now let's proceed to what are the skills? Unsa may skills sa imong if you will become a cybersecurity personnel. Unsa may angay nga skills nga atong i-acquire? Atong tanawon sa dinhi kung abot na mata sa skills. I think we are now in skills. Mana. Anyway, the data nga kinahanglan mo dara pa day. See you spam. Sorry, wala na ko na Now, the CEO spam usually links pages and comments can be displayed on a site by the hackers to distract your visitors. By the way, these are the data that you need to protect. Kung maggamit kag web scanning solution, these are the data nga naprotektahan, this not sorry, data nga. These are the methods nga maprotektahan nimo ang imuhang user or ikaw mismo. Kaning gitawag dog never mind this one kay kibaw naman tayo niya. Let's proceed to the CEO spam. Kani. Unusual links, pages, and comments can be displayed on a site by the hackers to distract your visitors and drive traffic to malicious websites. So kanang SEO spam. SEO spam also can lower your points in searching kung magamit ka sa Google search because CEO stands for Search Engine Optimization. Sa ato pa instead nga ang imuhang website makita didto tungod kay na-injectan siya og SEO spam, dili ang imong website naa sa ikaduha, ikatulo ba inig search or dili makita sa first front page kanang sa Google bitaw na daghan kayong mga companies na siguro wa pa mo maghibaw siguro ani but kung mo-graduate na mo and you will become the IT personnel mapugos jud mo og study ani niya kanang first nga page sa Google inig search daghan kaayong mga kompanya na niya nga kinahanglan ni inig search sa Google naa sa first page ngano man user seldom to go to the second page third page seldom ra kay ng mga user ana gusto lang tanaw sa first page unya kung makita nilang ganahan dito ilang i-click na sila they are not going to go to pages fourth pages dili na ana ra sa first page not unless nga kaning keywords nga gi-search sila mao ra jud ni nya tan-aw nila sa first page yung mga choices was sila ganahi mo proceed sila sa second page third page and third pages so mostly of the companies ilang i-force nila ang ilang IT personnel or the one who responsible for developing their website that inig search sa internet makita ang ilang website didto kung naay certain key nga murag unique para sa ilang website or kung maninda sila, unsa ilang tinda, makita dito. And if your website is infected with SEO spam, dili makita dito. Ngano man, ang imong website i-redirect niya ang points dito sa another nga website. So ang makita, instead nga ang imong website, kadtong ilaha nga website, gigamit ang imuha because it is infected by SEO spam. So kani, SEO stands for search engine optimization. O ang traffic gi-divert dito sa ilang website. So ikaw wala na ka nakita sa first page. Muna-muna nimo taon ditong code nimo dito, muna-muna nimo kuan sa imong header nimo sa imong HTML nimo para ang taon makabonus kasi imong boss nga nag-search makita dito unya diay gibutangan direct spam, SEO spam. Yab mo. Okay? So let's proceed now to skills. Unsa may skills sa atong cybersecurity nga kinahanglanon? Okay, I will stop my presentation and let's go to kanang tab kay naay mabibidyo ani niya. Cybersecurity. What are the skills? Sa may skill. Ang katong mga dili kayo mo ganahan og programming and if you want only kanang mo secure sa mga internet, pwede ra nga ninyo ang
In this video, I'm going to take you through the top 5 skills you need to be learning to get into cybersecurity. Because in this field, what you can do will make you so much more successful than what you know. Solving technical problems is the way to earning the trust and confidence from people you work with. Buckle up and let's dive right in. Number 1, building and using virtual machines. Virtual machines, also called VMs, are operating systems that run on top of your existing or host OS. The virtualized OS is commonly referred to as a guest and is managed by software called a hypervisor. The hypervisor lets you manage and allocate resources like CPU, memory, and disk space on your guest. Popular hypervisors you may have heard of include Hyper-V by Microsoft, VirtualBox by Oracle, VMware, and KVM. Oftentimes, when you hear the term cloud, it usually just means thousands of VMs running on.
Okay, mo interject lang ko niya. Although ang iyang gi-introduce nga virtual machines niya is kadto lang, but there is another VM that can be used also, especially in server managing. Don't worry kay sa atong server administration mo to. Akong introduce ito kanang gitawag og Proxmox. Proxmox. Kani wala niya gibutang. Pero sa atong ano to akong introduce to siya, Proxmox. It is almost the same as virtual machine but more. But more.
Specialized hypervisors on someone else's server farm in a data center somewhere. Virtual machines let you become platform agnostic, meaning you're no longer limited to any particular operating system and tools available for it. Many people spend all their time just on one OS and debate which ones are better. Let me tell you, it doesn't matter. As a pro, you should be versed in all of them and be comfortable working with any platform. This maximizes the scope of your skills and makes you effective in any situation. Virtual machines also give you the flexibility to train and research in an isolated environment without affecting your main driver. You can quickly take snapshots of a guest OS and restore it to an earlier state. Opening a suspect file you received? Use a VM. Want to practice configuring a server? Use a VM. Slinging exploits at a target? Use a VM. Moving on to number 2. Learn the command line. Don't run away, but embrace it. The command line interface, commonly referred to as a shell, is the simplest and arguably the most efficient way to interact with an operating system. For example, if I'm looking for an entry in this CSV file, Excel might freeze or crash. Running a lightweight shell command gets me what I need in no time. Why is it called a shell? The important parts of an OS that actually make it run is called the kernel because it functions at the center of the system. The part that's exposed to a user is called the shell since it wraps around the kernel. It's just like a car where the steering wheels, pedals, and dashboards giving you control over the engine or transmission all exist in the shell of the car. The command line gives you the lowest level access to software functionality that comes with an operating system. Many of the most useful tools don't have a graphical interface to point and click. Mastering the command line expands your arsenal and lets you get more done with less. It lets you be able to use scripting and automation to tackle repetitive tasks that would otherwise waste lots of time. Automating your workflow by learning the command line makes you a tremendously valuable asset to the team. I recommend starting out with Bash or Born Again Shell, since it comes default with almost every Linux distribution. macOS used it in its terminal app, but has since changed to Zeesh or Z Shell, and has some nicer features. If Bash is like a Toyota, then Zeesh is more like a Lexus. Bash is so popular and effective that Microsoft actually released the Windows Subsystem for Linux, or WSL, and lets you install several different Linux flavors to use Bash as a native app. This is super convenient since I can access all of my Linux tools without having to switch to a virtual machine. Now, understand that PowerShell is actually the go-to native shell for Windows. It's very different from how you would use the Linux command line, but gives you a ton of powerful Windows administration abilities. If you work in an environment where Windows is the primary OS, definitely learn PowerShell as well. I'm going to start a series on the Linux command line very soon. Comment below to let me know what tools and concepts you like to learn. Number 3, system administration. All of us with a computer or smartphone, from your grandma to IT wizard, is really a sysadmin at some level. It all depends on what level you're at. System administration involves the configuring and maintaining of computers, whether a personal device or a high-powered server. When I was first using computers as a kid, I loved to dive down into every single setting available on the computer just to see what it did. Reading manuals, online guides, and playing around just drove this curiosity further. By doing that, I became the family IT help desk. System administration is about knowing your platform and various tools inside and out to be able to help others who don't. Whatever your skill, I challenge you to fiddle around and learn by doing. Delete some files and try to recover them. Download, open, and monitor old viruses in a virtual machine with tools like Windows sysinternals to see what they do. Try to extract files and passwords off a computer without knowing the login info. Whatever it is, push the limits of what you already know by reading guides out there and following along. Practice a little more each day and you'll level up in no time. Number 4, computer networking. This is the heart and soul of it all. What I like to call the cyberspatial laws of physics. It's understanding how devices interact with each other and how data gets from point A to point B. A strong foundation in networking will make you a rock star troubleshooter, whether you're red teaming, defending, or running day-to-day IT ops. There's 2 conceptual models that govern computer networking: TCP/IP and OSI. They group all your different networking and telecommunication protocols into layers. TCP/IP is older and uses 4 layers: network access, internet, transport, and application layers. OSI stands for the Open System Interconnection, which is developed by the International Organization for Standardization, or ISO. These guys define everything from country codes to time and date formats. OSI is newer and uses 7 layers: physical, data link, network, transport, session, presentation, and application layers. All these layers are just a way to describe what's happening where. So if you're receiving a package from someone in a different country, it's going to get passed between envelopes, boxes, vehicles, and planes, each with their own addressing method and operating procedures. When the post office tells you there's an airline issue, you know where it is in the transportation system that's delaying your delivery. Likewise, the networking layers all have different functions, but as a whole, work together to let you stream videos from a server in a rack to a device in your hands. Knowing what's happening at each layer lets you see the matrix and be much more skilled at your craft. Number 5, personal digital security. This is an area I've been particularly passionate about because it affects our families, friends, and organizations. The cybercrime industry is booming. You don't have to scroll far to see what the online black marketplace looks like. As technology becomes more intertwined with our lives, from internet-connected cars to refrigerators, the vulnerabilities and attack vectors are going to increase more and more. If you want to go deep into cybersecurity, there's no better place to start with than yourself. From passwords, encryption, to secure comms, stay up to date with the latest security news and best practices. You might just be the subject matter expert in your office that others go to for advice. And that advice might just protect your company from becoming front page news. But most importantly is living it out yourself as well. You wouldn't believe the number of times I've seen cyber intrusions originate from the security operations or IT department simply because people didn't understand or practice basic digital hygiene. So that's it for this video. Thanks so much for tuning in.
Eh, sorry,
Minute ka, sir.
sorry. Thank you everyone for coming and see you next time. Although I agree sa iyang gisulti niya nga five kabuok iyang butang, but I will incorporate one kanang know how to program. If you know how to code, it's much better. You can protect your data if you know how to code. If you don't know how to code, maglisod kag protect sa imong data because you don't know where sa dapita sa data mo kailangan og protection. So maybe atong i-introduce lang din ha ang katang iyahaw itong digital niya. Sa digital we can incorporate there katong sa know how to program. Di ba katong ingon siya nga you know your craft as a hardware. So mao tong gingon ako ninyo nga about sa gamay lang gid kayo about sa CCNA. So, every mga bagoong mga establishment, mga dagoong establishment, they are using Cisco. So, if you are Cisco certified ka, associate or network professional, dako kaayo og advantage. The problem with Cisco certification is mahal jamo. And kanang iyang certification is certification good na may uban nga mo-attend lang na kay certificate. Iya is in a form of an examination. Mubayad pa ka, unya kung di ka kapasar, wa kay certificate. Nya mahal ag bayad. So, ang buhaton sa kanang before mo exam og sa Cisco mo apply sa Cisco certification, magtuon sila muna then usa pa sila mo exam. Kay mahal man og bayad unya panitan kung dili makapasar, wa kay certificate. Microtech also have certification. Doon na po'y equivalent ang Microtech. Kung doon ay network associate sa Cisco, doon na po'y network associate sa Microtech. Kung doon ay uh, network uh, network professionals, doon na po'y network professionals po sa Microtech. So it depends on your infrastructure. If you are using Microtech, kung ikaw may nagsugod, nag-build up, niya gusto ka medium size sa man niya mas ganahan ko sa Microtech kay at ISCO kay doon na siya graphical user interface. So mo focus ka sa Microtech. Then magpa-certified ka sa Microtech. Or kung dili ka gusto certified kay ikaw may nagama, pwede ra gyapon. But dunay advantages kung magpa-certified ka ani nilang duha. Kay kung mag-apply ka, naa kay certification. Okay? Although mahal ang sa Cisco, pero dagko nga company pod ang imong target para makatrabaho ka na niya. Especially if you are going to work abroad. At mo work ka abroad, ang primero nilang pangitaon, wa may gimon din na nga bright ka, dili ka, kay dili pa maka kahibaw sila og bright pa kag dili. Ang ilang iko nila, doon na ba kay certificate? Kanya, ang valid nga certificate nga ilang unuran is kanang Cisco certificate or CCNA, CCNP, so mo ni pinaka-basic. CCNA is the basic then so network associate then network kanang professionals. So mao na pinaka-basic. But kung dili ka more on into hardware, kung more on kuan ka kanang programming ka, in your portfolio, magpakita ra ka dito nga doon na kay ginama sa portfolio nimo or sa una man gud ang tawagan na resume karon bag-o na portfolio. Sa portfolio may butang na mo dito. Okay? Thank you everyone for coming. See you next time. Our examination will be based on this. Adto na ta sa atong notes. Adto na ko makuha para sa atong examination. Okay. See you next meeting. Thank you everyone.